Welcome to my April 2024 productivity report. For those of you who are new here, welcome. My name is Guntur and I am an organizing and productivity coach. And I do these monthly reports as a way to be more transparent about how I do things, how I set my goals and accomplish everything I need to, and how I do that basically in working part-time, even if it's a full-time business. And I also do it for accountability for myself and for me to be able to reflect on what I have learned in the past month and to share that takeaway with you. So hopefully you can also learn something from that. So I'm going to jump straight into this month's report because April 2024 was just a great month. It was very calm and steady and grounding, even though I did a lot of traveling. So let's get started. So going into April, I felt a lot of excitement in the air, a lot of really good anticipation because there were several major projects that I had been a part of or collaborated with people on or just sort of inspired in some way or, just been a part of that were all coming to a close. And if you know me, you know that I live for those moments. Because my tagline is finish what you start, and I'm a project manager and I love to tick those boxes that something is completed, something is done and finished, and we can now enjoy the impact and the results from that project. This was just a major month for me in terms of that. It felt so great, especially when you see or have been a part of all the hard work that had gone on behind the scenes, right? So whether it was clients, whether it was friends, colleagues, a lot of them were buzzing with excitement because there was so much being released in April. And it was just a thrill to watch. It was so much fun. And we did so much celebrating, all of us together. And I kind of like being in the role of cheerleader for my friends and colleagues and clients. It's fun for me to do that. And I kind of take that very seriously. I'm a very loyal friend and supportive friend. And so when somebody completes something, I go all out to try and support them and help them celebrate. So there's no better feeling for me than when somebody completes a big project that they've been working on. And that's what happened this month. There were so many of them that took giant leaps forward. And when you've seen everything that goes on behind the scenes and you know what it took for that to happen, you just get so proud and so happy for them. To me, there is no better feeling than seeing somebody succeed, somebody that I care about. And in that spirit, today we're going to talk about loud versus quiet productivity. It's actually not a topic that I've seen a lot of coaches cover, so I'm going to step up and do it in this video. And when to use which type of productivity is so powerful to know, because it has to do with your boundaries, how much you share, and your marketing efforts. So let's get into that topic. I think that's going to be fun. So what exactly is quiet productivity, you might wonder? Well, it is all the behind the scenes work. It is all that unseen effort that you may not have witnessed firsthand, but nonetheless, it was there. And it happened. It was all the early mornings, all the late nights, all the trade-offs, all the things that had to happen for that change and that result to come about. And what we often perceive as somebody's overnight success is just the surface level stuff, right? Because only you pay that close attention to you. I mean, unless you work with somebody one-on-one, like some of my clients, or you have like a very dedicated spouse or partner that's going the distance with you, it's not a lot of people get to see that type of hard work up close. It's mostly you that know how much effort you put into something. So you know how there's that image out there of an iceberg and you only see the tip of the iceberg above the surface. The bottom half there, the stuff that you don't see, that's the quiet productivity. And it kind of depends on who you are and the way you like to work. But what I have seen is that extroverted people often like to work with loud productivity, meaning they like to work publicly. They prefer to share and experience things in real time and bring people along on the journey because they thrive on that interaction. They thrive on the comments and the back and forth between people and the discussion and the energy. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just a personality thing, you know? We call that loud productivity, nonetheless. Not loud in a bad way at all. Just loud productivity, meaning visible productivity, right? You get to see it. You get to be a part of it. You know what somebody's working on. And because you get to see and come along on the journey, you understand better the amount of effort that went into something, right? So for example, if there's a YouTuber that does like a daily vlog, you get to see all of that and you get to see how the end result ended up being the end result. Even this report, for example, is a form of loud productivity for me because I'm being visible and transparent and telling you what's happening in real time. And I'm bringing you along on the journey so that you can better understand how I achieved a goal, right? Even if you think about reality shows, those are perfect examples of loud productivity. So something like American Idol or The Voice, where you see somebody that's kind of unknown, you know, show up and audition, and then over the course of a couple of months, they go through this giant transformation and they come out, you know, the winner. And those types of transformations, because you see what happened, you understand better what went into it, you know, and what needed to happen, and that it was ups and downs and it wasn't just smooth sailing the whole time. So it's kind of like loud productivity begs for attention. It pulls you in, it keeps you close, it keeps you engaged, and it's a very powerful tool for marketing. What you have to understand is that it's still edited though to some extent, because even if you are seeing something in real time, play by play, you are not seeing every minute of it. You are seeing an edited version, right? They might film for an entire month, but then they cut the footage down to an hour. So you're still only seeing highlights. So even though it is visible and loud and highly engaging, you're still seeing only, you know, bits and pieces of it. Nonetheless, though, you get a better sense of the amount of work that happened. And that's the difference. When we talk about quiet productivity, we mean all of the unseen work that somebody did to get to an outcome. And introverts like me, we often do a ton of quiet productivity. It just comes natural to us because we're not used to sharing everything with everybody. We just kind of keep our heads down and work away and we get results. But then people go, whoa, what happened? How did you do that? And it seems kind of like this big giant transformation overnight. All those overnight success stories, we perceive it as being fast. It is not fast. It is hours and hours and hours, days, weeks, years of grinding behind the scenes. It is mastering what you are doing and really going all out. And that's what quiet productivity is. It's that you're actually doing the work, but maybe nobody sees it except you. So you know how much work you put in, but everybody else goes, oh, I guess you got lucky. And that's not necessarily true, right? My take is that quiet productivity is extremely powerful when you are working on anything that's personal, because it promotes focus. So even if your preference is to work loudly or visibly, maybe that's a better term, you have this sense in the back of your mind that you are being watched, right? So you still maybe have to worry about how things appear to others. Maybe you would edit yourself ever so slightly because other people are watching. It's sometimes hard to let go completely when you feel like you have eyes on you. And so if that's a problem for you, or if you feel like that's a hindrance, then you are better putting a boundary box around it and actually working privately. Loud productivity is super fun. It can be really engaging, but it also comes with a lot more work, because not only do you have to actually do the work, you also have to share the work, right? It's kind of also, you know, it reminds me of business owners who love being on social media versus business owners who are never on social media. So both businesses perhaps may be equally successful, but because you're only seeing one of them, you have an idea in your mind that, oh, that business is actually more successful because you are watching it. Not necessarily true. There are plenty of business owners that I know, probably myself included, if I'm honest, that are extremely successful, but because we're not sharing numbers, because maybe there's a different follower count, maybe because there's a different way or level of transparency that's involved, it appears to be different, or it appears to be less successful. So I guess my point is that loud productivity has a place, and the place is marketing. And if you are okay with that and you're that type of person, there's absolutely nothing wrong with approaching it that way. But I also want to make the point that there's nothing wrong with quiet productivity as well, because you have more of an ability to focus on just doing what needs to be doing without worrying about how it appears to others, or how others are going to look at it. It's kind of it's a boundary, basically. Your choice needs to be based on the obstacle that's in front of you. Is it a personal matter? Is it something that people could benefit from hearing? How much do people need to know about it? How much do you want to share about it? How much does it matter commercially? We're going to get into that as well. Boundaries win out almost every time in my book, because when you're in it, I just find that it's best to focus, and then you can always go back and share afterwards, right? Once you got done, or once you completed the project. It just kind of is a personality thing. So even if you are introverted like me, even if you feel like, oh, I don't know if I could share all of that right now, I can't focus on that right now, you can always go back and share later, right? You don't always have to post things in real time. Let me also quickly point out that time and effort warp that other people experience, the whole like, whoa, what happened to her? That is not your problem. So it is a boundary that you can leverage, and it's your right to do that, regardless of what other people feel they need to know, or feel like they should know, or have a right to know. They don't. It is your choice, and it's perfectly okay to say, you know what, you don't need to know that. That took me a long time to learn, and that's why I'm saying it to you now. You always get to set your own boundaries. That being said, there are some things to consider here if you are thinking about business strategy, as well as your personal well-being, right? So I want to get into when to choose loud productivity over quiet productivity. So one of the more negative aspects of quiet productivity is that whole warp, the exclusion piece of it. Because on the flip side, loud productivity actually promotes inclusion. So let me break that down for you so you understand what I mean. So when people get to see what you're working on and what you are doing, they feel a sense of satisfaction, and they feel like they have a better connection with you because they're seeing it in real time, right? They get to cheer you on, which makes them emotionally invested. That's exactly what I said just at the top of this video, right? That I felt so happy being the cheerleader for my friends and colleagues and clients because they had so much to release this month. That was me with that connection, because I had a front row seat to all the hard work. That's the loud productivity. I got to experience it. Maybe not other people got to see that, but I got to see it. And it made me emotionally invested in them. Not just because I know them, but because I saw how much they worked on it and how much hard work actually went into all of this, right, for it to happen. It feels so much more inclusive. It feels like you were somehow a part of it, even if you didn't have a direct involvement, it still brings people in. So, for example, if you have ever watched American Idol and voted for your favorite artist, that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's that connection that gets created that is incredibly powerful. If you are a sports fan, you'll know that feeling very well, right? If you see your team go from being underdogs to winning the league, that is an extremely powerful bond. So quiet productivity forfeits that entire experience. Loud productivity does not. So that's why if you are very heavily invested on social media, if you, share with people what you're working on and what you're doing, it creates a much stronger sense of connection. And so if you are working on something commercially, for example, maybe you're creating a new online course, maybe you're creating a membership community, maybe you're releasing a new record, whatever it is that you're doing, if you are sharing the in-progress work as you are working on it with people and they get to see, oh, something's coming, they're going to be much more likely to buy it because they're already invested, right? That's why a lot of big companies give their customers a heads up. They don't just spring a new iPhone on you one day without any notice. No, it's coming. There is a countdown. And you know exactly when that release date is going to be so that you can be ready to open your wallet. That's how marketing works. So what I see as a problem, and even this has been an issue for me in the past, is that when you work so much in quiet productivity, nobody knows what's coming. Nobody sees it and nobody gets emotionally invested, which means that less people buy, right? So that is something that you have to think about. If you have a launch, if you have something coming up, if you have something that you really want people to be invested in, the best way to do it is to work visibly, even if it's not done yet, right? You show bits and pieces. Oh, it's coming along, it's coming along, it's coming along. And we're getting closer and closer to the release date. It just works. It's very engaging, and it brings your customers along for the ride. You'll just make more money that way. Ask any sports team how much merch they sell. That's a side business of loud productivity. So the key though is that for a lot of projects that are commercial, you are not maybe personally invested, and that matters a lot. So the key for choosing quiet productivity is when you're working on personal and very private matters. Any self-development, perhaps that you're doing, can be done in quiet productivity, unless there is some sort of origin or conversion story there. So for example, let's say that my dream is to become a financial coach and I am just a mile deep in debt, okay? It would be really, really interesting for you to say, look, I'm going to share my journey with you of how I become debt-free so that you can see that this can be overcome. And then maybe you'll hire me as your coach because I know what I'm doing. I've been through this. Excuse me. And you can see me doing this as it's happening. Or even if you do it first and then share it with the word later, there is something very relatable about that, right? You understand that struggle. And your clients can see that and they go, oh my gosh, like she's been where I am, right now. And if she can do it, I can do it. That is a very strong, powerful bond to create. And it gives credibility, right? So if you were in that type of situation where you're like, look, I have this problem. I'm going to show you how I'm overcoming it. And then let me help you as well. Great marketing. Now, if the difference was that I did not want to become a financial coach and I'm still a mile deep in debt, maybe not everybody needs to know that. Maybe I can work through that quietly without sharing that because it really has nothing to do with a conversion story or an origin story, right? So when you are working on something personal that's best kept to yourself, that has little or nothing to do with your career, it's perfectly valid to work in quiet productivity. Not everybody needs to know what you're doing all the time and in all aspects, and you get to decide that. The only thing is that it can get a little bit annoying, right? So something to keep in mind is that people are going to say, wow, like what happened? How did she do that? They're going to gasp, they're going to wonder, they're going to comment about your results. And it can get a bit annoying because you know how much work went into it. But people are going to naturally just go there anyway because they weren't part of the journey. That curiosity is going to be there. They're going to go, how did she do that? How did she do that? They'll want to know your secret. What did you do? So they're going to keep asking, and you'll be pretty fed up with people thinking that, oh, it was probably just luck or whatever, Maybe they'll comment on an overnight transformation. Maybe they'll, talk about that instant overnight success or accomplishment. And you might just get a little frustrated because you know exactly what went into it. And you're going to go and think to yourself, like, if they only knew, if they only knew. But again, that's just human nature. And if you can let those go, those things, as I have many times, then you'll be just fine. Again, not everybody has to know everything, so you get to decide what boundaries you keep and when. And again, just to summarize this whole conversation, loud productivity is really, really great when you are working on a commercial something, when you are trying to promote or sell something, or promote yourself, because then people get to see you, they get to know you, they get to see the work you're doing to get to that end result, that outcome. If it's something that has little or nothing to do with your career, you're not selling anything, it is perfectly okay to work quietly. And you'll probably be a lot more productive quietly, because those personal journeys tend to be a lot of work. They tend to be big hurdles, big mountains to climb. And not everybody needs to know all of that stuff. So my big takeaway for this month is quiet productivity is extremely powerful and the best use of your time when you are working on a personal matter. If you want to share something and sell something with others, go ahead and work visibly and loudly. But other than that, maintain your boundaries. All right, let's now get into my April. How productive was I in April 2024? It was actually a very normal month for me. So I spent time in Columbus and Washington, D.C. Everything flowed really nicely. What needed to get done got done. And it just felt like a very ordinary month. And I actually love those ordinary months because they feel very steady. I don't like the ups and downs. I don't like anything dramatic. I feel like we should celebrate ordinary a lot more, Everything kind of was just steady and calm, no turbulence. That could be really energetically draining, and this month wasn't. It was just a nice, very grounded month, and I'm very grateful for that. So this month I completed 5 projects, once again surpassing my monthly goal of 3. It's pretty consistent at this point. I tend to do around 5 or so, but I am not upping my goal count. I'm still going with 3 because there's 3 months in a quarter. So like mathematically that makes sense to me. And it also gives me a lot of flexibility, because there may be a month where I'm just not feeling it energetically, or I need more space for some reason. So if I take on like one giant project in a month, then I know the other 2 could be smaller projects, or vice versa. I could pull off some combination of the 2 there. So that approach works really well for me and I'm enjoying it. So mission accomplished, 5 projects completed. That's great. Even though 3 was all I had in my sights. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Super happy with that. Not all of them were huge. It really just doesn't matter. The point is that they got done. My favorite project this month was actually wrapping up the Prosper Now Masterclass for the photo managers. So the photo managers is like an industry community for those professional organizers who specialize in photo organizing, digital asset management, digital organization in general, and other related niches. So myself, as well as 2 of my colleagues, Darla and Jill, shout out if you're watching, by the way, we kicked off that masterclass in December of 2023, but it came to sort of its conclusion in April for our in-person conference in Columbus, Ohio. So we were there and we had a full day together, which was so much fun. And we did basically 4 months worth of business coaching for these budding entrepreneurs. So I taught goal setting, productivity, that type of stuff. And then Darla taught, more financial organization and that type of stuff. And then Jill went into systems and operations. I love all those topics. But like I said, I really enjoy that role of cheerleader. So I love that I get to open up and kind of be the cheerleader to kind of kick things off. Yeah, and that was really fun. We've actually already signed up to do it again for our 2025 cohort. So if you are in TPM, please apply to be a part of our masterclass, even if you've done it before. It's super fun. And there's always new things to work on, right? You're always at a new place in your business. So you can always come back and do it again. And for this cohort, we've heard from a lot of them that they've already up-leveled quite a bit. They've already had a lot of personal growth, revenue increases, more profits, which is just fabulous. So yeah, that was really fun. And it's always nice to see people in person. So you can't beat that. This month, I worked just over 91 hours. I have my stats right in front of me here. And that is close to 23 hours of work per week. So my goal has been about 25 hours a week this year. And this was a little bit under, kind of like last month. That's okay again, because I was on the road. I took it pretty easy. And I actually spent quite a lot of time this month on my own systems and operations. I was streamlining quite a bit, updating my funnels. I'm anticipating a bit more traffic in the coming months for various reasons. Again, part of those big projects that I've been a part of and completed, I'm pretty sure they're going to lead to kind of a bump in my website traffic. So I really wanted to make sure that everything is streamlined there and that everything is working the way it's supposed to. So I did quite a bit of that. I've also done several interviews for publications that are about to come out. So a lot of that is coming around as well. But you know what? Even if it doesn't really matter. There is never a wrong time to be on top of your systems and operations. It always pays for itself in the long run. It's what makes my business run. It's what makes me, like work with ease. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I know that that's always a good investment of time. And you know what? I don't want to make this a pitch at all, but if you are not on top of your systems and operations, join us. We have a course called Creative Systems Architect that teaches you everything you need to know about that and how to get things moving a little bit smoother. Again, it's a lot of that quiet stuff, right? The back end stuff needs to work. It needs to function, or the tit that you see on top is not going to show up above the surface. So there's no better time than now to improve how things are working in your business and in your life. We need systems and operations in our private life. We need it in our business. It needs to happen everywhere. So yeah, there's no better way to spend my time. I know that, and I'm happy to do it that way. I took a lot less photos this month than I normally do. I only took 677 photos this month. I didn't do any huge photo shoots, so that's why. Normally, I just do a ton of photo shoots for my business, partly because it's fun, partly because I need a lot of marketing images for all of my pages and for all of my social media. But this was a more family-oriented month, so I didn't really go all out on that as I normally do. I did take some in Washington, D.C., which you'll see obviously on the cover and on social media, but I limited it to about 10-15 minutes. Something that I'm really proud of now is I've actually gotten really good at my angles. So when I first started taking photos and videos and all that, I was like, oh, that doesn't look good, that doesn't look good. And like 5 hours later, I would have one shot that was good. Now it takes me a good 15-20 minutes or so, and I have about 50 photos that I can use. So I'm getting a lot better at that. And again, that's that quiet productivity, those systems and operations, and improving how you do things in the background. That's running, that's working. I've gotten quite good at that now, and it's really fun because sometimes, especially when you're outside, you only have like 10 minutes of magic. You know, if you have a certain particular light that's coming, maybe a sunset or something like that, you got wind to deal with, you got other weather conditions, traffic, people, noise. There's so much when you're taking photos and videos outside to deal with. So the faster you are at that, the better you are at that, the more you can get your shot without jumping through hoops, the better. So that's progress. I like that. I like that I'm fast at that now. Out of the 677 photos I took, I deleted 84 of them, and that left me with a cool 593 photos to organize. The majority of them was from Columbus, from the photo organizing conference, but I also have some from DC, obviously, as well as from a concert that I attended. And this month, which you'll hear about next month, because I do them in, reverse, I took a lot of photos. So yeah, it'll be quite a different story. And again, not to make this another pitch, but if you don't have your photos organized or your content managed in your business, join us in DPO Pro, the Ultimate Photo Organizing Masterclass, to learn how to take care of your content and repurpose those assets and get your workflows in order. Memories matter, content matters. This is your story, you got to tell it. So being able to, do that and repurpose it in a way, that's the key to a lot of productivity. So if you have something to sell, you got to keep those photos organized. So yeah, join us there. If you have any questions, DM me for sure, or let me know, and I'll tell you all about it. In April, I walked a total of 180,260 measured steps, which breaks down to just roughly 6,000 a day. So goal accomplished. This is again because of travel, hands down. Those cities are fairly walkable, especially Washington, DC. It's a fairly walkable city. So even though we had a rental car that we, took to and from downtown, we actually stayed in an Airbnb in Maryland. So we drove into town and back every day. But then we parked our car and walked around the city. So that was nice. My goal for this year has been to walk or run at least 5,000 steps a day, just to sort of maintain good movement and health. And this year I've actually been decently consistent. It's a calm, flexible goal for me. And if you don't know what a flexible goal is, hop over to the blog and read all about flexible goals. But yeah, I can clearly see the improvement, even though I'm kind of taking a more laid back approach to it, which is nice. So last year around this time, I was not at all in that place. I'm getting better and better and better. In fact, I just got back from, I think, an 8,000 step run in the past 2 hours. So, progress, lots of progress. I used to be quite the couch potato. So the fact that I'm now considered active is just mind-blowing. And, obviously the more you work at something, the better it goes. And it's just a matter of how you approach it. So if I can do it, you can do it. It's so, so important. It's so, so nice to have milestones, to have targets, to have, just check-in points for yourself about your goals and where you're at. A lot of the time we set a goal and then we kind of look at it when it's done or when we failed and we go, well, what happened? Well, it's because we didn't consistently, reflect on what was going on. We didn't have milestones, like none of that stuff. And that's one of my specialties. So obviously, I should be expected to make my goals since that's what I do for a living. If I didn't meet my goals, I wouldn't be a very good productivity coach. But so far, so good. So far, so good. For home-cooked meals, another flexible goal of mine, we came in at a whopping 90% almost. It was more like 89 and a quarter or half or so, but rounding up to 90 is fine. And that's huge. Like, that's a lot of home-cooked meals considering I was on the road quite a bit. I think it was because we had house guests. So again, I cooked a bit more than I normally do. I think because we had other people that were eating there too, it was a little bit more fun. I think it's actually quite difficult to cook for 1 or 2 people. It seems to be easier for me to cook for more people because I go more into the whole meal planning and I make it a bigger deal. So it becomes a little fancier and it becomes a little bit more fun, more of an event than the sort of day-to-day stuff. So I actually had quite a lot of fun with that. And that's an interesting turn of events because I would have thought it would have been more stressful than normal, but actually it was the opposite. That's a very interesting takeaway. I'm not a huge fan of cooking per se. I had struggles with that in the past, but I'm getting better at it. Yeah, it was kind of surprising that I enjoyed cooking this month as much as I did. But that's good. That's great. My goal has been 75% because I didn't want to order so much out. And we did eat out a couple times, while we were on the road. We had some great Ethiopian food in DC, in Georgetown. My favorite place for Hawaiian food in Chicago is Aloha Eats. I got some stuff from there. And then we had some really great Indian food sort of in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, like on our drive from DC to Chicago. So I never really felt like I was missing out on anything, even though I cooked so much at home. That's been a thing in the past where I felt like, I got to eat the stuff that I made that's not as good as somebody else's. But no, it didn't happen this month. So that's another huge accomplishment, I think, a huge milestone. Overall, I think this is probably my most successful month for this category so far. So I'm going to throw some confetti around. It's pretty exciting to see that kind of progress. Okay, moving on to books and learning. As you know, I love to learn. I'm a huge proponent of self-development work, mindset work, philosophy. Oh gosh, I love it. It's so much fun. And so this month I listened to the audio version of The Courage to Be Disliked by two of the world's leading psychologists. I'm not going to try and pronounce their names, but you can look it up. I'll link it below. The whole book discusses sort of the Adlerian philosophy of becoming truly free without having to seek approval or recognition from others, but instead to sort of live and contribute to your community on a grander scale and to society as a whole, and talk about quiet productivity, right? Like, can you see how all of this kind of came together this month? I really enjoyed this book. There were a few things I didn't agree with 100%. Like how it ignores sort of past trauma and things like that. And yes, we can, unravel some of those, things, but it's a little bit counterintuitive to me, since I care so much about the past and how we are brought up and how we are treated as people. Other than that, though, for the most part, it kind of aligned with how I see the world and what I believe. So it was a really nice read, or listen, I should say. If you enjoy philosophy, personal development, any topic like that, I think you're going to really like it. So definitely check it out. There were some cool takeaways for me as well that I kind of knew them, but I didn't have language for them. So what they talked about a lot was the idea of horizontal versus vertical relationships, where like horizontal relationships is like you're basically helping other people make decisions. You're not trying to manipulate or influence them or have any sort of personal gain come out of it, versus a vertical relationship, which is more like a boss-employee type of a thing, or parent-child of like, hey, do this, do that. You're then telling people what to do. You're demanding things, you're ordering things around, you're manipulating, maybe influencing others. And what they're saying is that basically in your life, none of your relationships should be vertical. They should be all horizontal. That is so like aligned with how I see the world and how I want my life to be. And I really rebel against vertical relationships. I don't like it, especially here in Sweden. It's like, you don't really work for people, you work with them. I feel like Sweden in general is a fairly horizontal country. Whereas other countries in the world that I have experience with are very vertical, and it's like, do this and you're expected to do it. And it's like, that doesn't feel good. It's not, I don't enjoy those relationships. I tend to rebel against them. And so that was a huge takeaway for me. I didn't have language for that before, and I do that now. So that was really interesting. I had so many meaningful conversations during the month of April. I can't highlight them all, but obviously also in person, because I spent time at an industry conference. I was only able to be there for one day, which was kind of a bummer because I had prior sort of commitments, but I was still able to connect with so many amazing people in just that one day. Plus then my online catch-ups. So one person that I want to shout out is Loomis, Jennifer Loomis. Hey, Jennifer, if you're watching, she's great. She is an amazing maternity photographer and the owner of Signature Photo Organizing. And not only did I get to see her in Columbus, but also chatted with her over Zoom, and that was really nice. She's such a great energy, such a wise person, and just so much fun to be around. So I'm so happy that we got to spend so much time together. Hopefully it won't be too long before the next time around. And then, of course, I have to mention my good friend Jale Zandier. She's just one of my dearest friends. She's a global leadership expert, and she just knows so much about leadership and people's vantage points and team communication and all of that stuff. It's just always so fascinating to chat with her and have these incredible conversations. And she has a great book out called Nourished by Diversity that I'm going to link underneath this video as well. I'm actually helping her plan a little book tour that she's going to do in California this summer. So if you pick it up and let me know if you're going to be in California, like San Diego or LA, you can get a signed copy. We'll make sure she signs it for you. So yeah, it's a great book. Great book. Life-changing takeaways if you actually apply it to your life. So I would highly recommend that. And of course, I'll link to everything below. So much fun. By the way, if you're going to be in California in June, July, let me know. I'm going to be there for quite a bit of time, seeing clients, seeing friends, seeing family, and I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. So lots of time for catch-ups. This is another great month for me in terms of celebrating accomplishments. Obviously, if the list I haven't, mentioned is big enough yet. One thing in particular that I'd like to highlight was our Building in Notion workshop. So that's something that we've been planning to do for quite a while, and we actually had scheduled it for Feb, I think, and then we had to reschedule it for a better time. So we finally got that one done, and that is now up for sale. If you're interested, it's only $9 to enroll. It was so much fun. We basically talked about Notion for beginners and how to get started with it, templates, functionality, and things like that to think about. In all of my courses, I often recommend Notion as a digital hub because it's just so customizable. It's so versatile. It's just the perfect hub for your business. And because of that, because I tend to say that a lot of our students go, oh, I should try that out. And we just saw that a lot of people sort of had questions about Notion. So we just did a workshop to get people up and running. And that was really fun to cover the basis. And we were pleasantly surprised actually to see how advanced some of them had become. It's so fun. I run my entire life in business in Notion now and have been for a few years. So I can't recommend it enough. It's just fabulous. So that was fun. And then another big thing that happened this month is that we actually officially launched live welcome and onboarding calls for students. Not just for current students or people who have just joined, but also for prospective students. So we cover stuff like how to use our academy, how to join our community and log into Circle, and like, how do you ask questions? How do you get in touch with Caroline? All those things. And it's great for new people who have just joined some of our courses, but it's also nice for prospective students who might not be, completely convinced yet, or who are just sort of interested in seeing behind the scenes. Like, what do you offer? How does this work? How do you support your students? Anything like that. So you get to meet us, the coaches and the team, and then you get to ask questions, and then we kind of give you a roadmap for how to succeed and how to best go about meeting your goals. So that was super fun. Those calls are completely free. In fact, you don't even need to register. So like if you're somebody who's thinking about becoming more productive, more organized, and you're wondering like what course would be good for me, you can totally jump on one of these calls and we'll talk you through that. And we'll show you the behind the scenes of our academy, our community and how everything works. So yeah, the next one is on June 18th, I believe, at 2 p.m. Central US time. I'll post all the links so you have all of that. But yeah, so much fun to celebrate. Such a big milestone, another big one, right? Sometimes we hear from people like, oh, I joined the course and then I did like a month, of intense learning, and then life happened and I had to take a break, and now I feel bad because everybody else is ahead of me. And it's like, no, people come in and out of our courses all the time. We have evergreen courses. We don't do cohorts. And I've chosen to do it that way because that's just how I work the best. But this then gives them a way to sort of reconnect with everything and remind themselves how things work and all of that. And that's just nice. Less guilt around it then, I think. Okay, so let's move on to tea of the month. This is just for fun because I'm obsessed with tea, and I just like to give recommendations and shout outs to brands that I think are doing a good job. And this month, I want to shout out Triple Leaf. They have a decaf jasmine tea. It is bagged, so it's not perfect, but it does the job. And the reason I've been going with decaf is because I've been traveling so much lately. And if I just drink a little bit of caffeine, I can't sleep. So it's been really important for me to have decaf because I just need my tea. I can't live without it, but I also need my rest. So I've just been having a bunch of their tea bags in my backpack when I've been traveling, and it's been the best thing ever. So that's the one I would recommend if you like green teas, if you like jasmine teas, but you need something lighter, either caffeine free, maybe you can't have caffeine, or if you're just traveling and you're moving in time zones and you just can't have that much, disturbance in your rhythm. So I stocked up. I got a good deal, I think, on Amazon a couple of weeks ago, and I stocked up and I bought a ton of it. So now I have a lot at home. So I just bring a box with me kind of wherever I go so that I can always enjoy my daily cup of tea without, getting all hyper and all that. So I would highly recommend it. Again, it's Triple Leaf. That's the brand, and it's called Jasmine Decaf Green Tea. Super easy to make, easy to digest, and again, just very light and airy, but still really, really good. So that would be my recommendation for this month. And finally, before we wrap up, I just want to say that, even though I measure my steps, my home cooked meals, my project count, all of those things, it doesn't mean that you have to measure that too. Goals are very personal. They need to be customized and make sense for you, So if you're not trying to up your step goal, there's no need for you to track how many steps a day you take. But for me, it's essential to do that because I'm trying to get better at that. So whatever you're working on, those are the things you need to measure, and those are the things you need to track. And if you're not quite sure how to do that, feel free to get in touch with me. I'd be happy to help you figure that out. If you're a business owner, we have quarterly planning workshops where you can get clear on your priorities for the next few coming months. We have one coming up in early June, so feel free to sign up for that. The first one's always free so that you can test it out. And it's a really nice way just to find your focus and to figure out how to prioritize and what to work on for the next few months. So measure what matters. And if you don't know what matters, talk to me, okay? Thank you again for watching this till the end. I really appreciate you being here. I'm enjoying making these productivity reports more than you know, and it's actually giving me a lot of clarity and kind of just showcases as well how I teach reflection routines and what impact they have on your life and business. So I hope to see you in May's report. Keep an eye out for it. It'll be out soon. And until then, take care.